The Symbolism of Snakes, Serpents and Snake Charmers. Snakes represent energy. Serpents and snakes represent energy. Not electromagnetic energy, but the stuff of which the entire universe is made. Only certain types of energy are represented using snakes. Unordered energy is called chaos, and is symbolically represented as the ocean and sea. Ordered energy is called spirit. Some is visible, form, and some not, function. See also videos, boats, and aura and island. Moving energy is symbolically represented using rivers and streams. Reservoirs of unmoving energy are symbolically represented using lakes, ponds, and pools. Snakes and serpents only represent changing, recycling, or regenerating energy. Energy in transition, energy changing its state. So, for example, going from unordered to ordered, or vice versa, or from function to form, and vice versa. As a consequence, one can symbolically find sea snakes, lake, pond and pool snakes, land snakes, spring snakes, well snakes, and river snakes. The snake has no hands or feet with which to propel itself, and is as a consequence self-moving. It is thus an ideal symbol to represent this ever-changing flow. Furthermore, a snake sheds and changes its skin. As such, a snake can be used to represent a person renewing themselves via rebirth or annihilation. Paul Brunton. The new skin of the snake or serpent stands for the new form into which the energy will ultimately be shaped. And just as the snake continues to live despite the death of its outer skin, so the spirit is undying and remains immortal despite the death of its various forms. Examples of the transitions snakes represent: French knitting, energy transitioning from function to form. The cotton reel knitting machine turns a single thread into a snake, reminding us of the symbolism of the loom and weaving, and that of wool. Ouroboros, energy transitioning from ordered to unordered. The Ouroboros, Taurus, and the Torque are all corresponding symbols. The Ouroboros is a snake that eats its own tail, meaning that as energy is destroyed, it is being used to regenerate the snake. A description of energy recycling in the context of black holes is in our video The Concept of God in Mysticism. East Coca, number 2 of 4 quartets, T.S. Eliot. In my beginning is my end. Rainbow and cosmic serpents and the creation of spirit itself. The cosmic serpent is a symbol found in Amazonia, Sumer, Egypt, Persia, India, the Pacific, Crete, Greece, Scandinavia, India, North America, and so on. In South America, Lyle Watson, The Water Planet, when Quetzalcoatl sailed out to sea on a raft of snakes, he headed for the country of the sun, where he found and drank the water of immortality. In India, knowledge of these energy, prana, serpents is ancient. They are in the Upanishads, which are thousands of years old. The Naga in Hinduism, Buddhism and Jainism are half human and half cobra, and in Australia the rainbow serpent appears in native Aboriginal art. The snakes of bodily regeneration and change. If we now narrow our focus and concentrate on the human body, snakes are used to represent energy flows in humans. In yogic practice, prana is a synonym of energy, and the flows are called nadis. Within traditional Chinese medicine, qi is a synonym of energy, and the flows are known as meridians. In the yogic system, invisible nadis carry prana all over the body. The word nadi comes from the Sanskrit root nad, meaning stream or flow. The nadis are linked to the chakras. The three most important nadis are Ida, Pingala and Sushumna. All of these can be regarded as serpents because they are major sources of regeneration. And each of these three special nadis is represented in the form of a snake. Ida lies to the left of the spine. It is symbolically feminine and lunar. Pingala is to the right side of the spine, and it is symbolically masculine and solar. Sushumna, very gracious and kind, runs along the spinal cord in the centre through the 7 chakras. The Kundalini experience, moksha and nirvana. The aim of spiritual methods is to unblock these nadis in order to bring liberation from the endless cycles of birth and death, and to help the person experience moksha and nirvana, each bringing reconnection spiritually and bliss and contentment. When the prana energy in these serpents has been balanced and unblocked, a Kundalini experience is said to be experienced, and the serpents uncoil and rise up from the base of the spine in either a double spiral or up the central sushumna. This can be quite traumatic and is called ecstasy. It is said to give you figurative wings, and this is what all mystery religions sought to achieve by meditation or yogic practices, including shatkamas, mudras and pranayama. And this is why the virgins of the temples had a constellation in their honour, as they were responsible for teaching, guiding and helping the process safely through to completion. See our video, Virgo, Virgins and the High Priestess. And this practice was worldwide and used by the Sufis, the Knights Templar, the Geisha, the Cathars, the Celts, Picts, Norse, Greeks and Romans, and all the great mystery religions. The symbolism of the snake charmer. Snake charmer can be used as a euphemism, But a snake charmer was once someone who could control and manage both sexual and other energy flows in themselves and others, using them to heal and obtain enlightenment. Medea was married to Jason, the ancient Greek mythological hero and leader of the Argonauts. Jason's last task was to overcome the sleepless dragon, which guarded the golden fleece. Medea made a potion, gave it to the dragon, and it fell asleep. Jason was able to seize the golden fleece. See our videos on the symbolism of Aries and woolen sheep. John the Evangelist is the name traditionally given to the author of the Gospel of John. He is shown here with a cup containing symbolic snakes, signifying his status. Mithras. The Roman Mithraic mysteries was practiced from about the 1st to the 4th centuries AD. Its origins lay with the Persian god Mithra, Greek Mithras. Followers called themselves Syndexioi, those united by the handshake and met in underground temples called Mithraeum. Cleopatra, a queen of ancient Egypt and its mysteries, and a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, was bitten by a snake. Cadmus was a Phoenician prince who lived about 2000 BC. He introduced the Phoenician alphabet, Phoenician letters, to the Greeks, who adapted it to form their alphabet. Cadmus was trained by Harmonia. Krishna. The story of Krishna can be read as a Kundalini experience or an intellectual battle. Kalaya, a poisonous snake, lived in the Yamuna River. One day Krishna's ball fell into the Yamuna. Krishna jumped into the river to retrieve it, and thus encountered Kalaya. But Krishna won the battle, whether Kundalini or intellectual, and later Krishna danced on Kalaya's hoods, beating him each time. But some of the poison of the snake entered Krishna and turned him blue. The Monk of Mentorella. This copy of an old fresco in the Church of Mentorella is documented in Athanasius Kirchner's book Historia Eustatio Mariana. It shows the monk not killing the snake, but taming it to go up the spine. Cyrunus and the Gundestrup Cauldron. The silver Gundestrup Cauldron is dated between 200 BC and 300 AD. It depicts a horned god using a heel on his perineum who has tamed his snake. He has twin horns, see our horns video, beautifully ordered lines of energy, holds and wears talks, and has become a summoner. See our video. The geisha. The geisha may have been the most accomplished of all the snake charmers and underwent a lifetime's training. They can also be classified as symbolic virgins. See our video. Providing temples for snake charmers. At one time, large temple complexes were provided for the snake charmers. Greek Asclepius grew so skilled at healing that he was able to restore the dead to life. The Asclepiadae all used his methods. Hygeia, prevention of sickness; panacea, universal remedy; iaso, convalescence; and asiso, the healing process, were all Asclepiadae. And patients stayed overnight in asclepions. Methods included lucid dreaming and hypnotherapy. The Asclepion at Epidaurus is where Asclepius traditionally practiced. Other Asclepions were located in Athens, Kos, Pergamum and later Rome. Another example is the Snake Temple in Penang, Malaysia. But this was built in 1805 in memory of Cho Su Kong, a Buddhist monk, healer and snake charmer, who lived during the Song dynasty, 960 to 1279. But these days only snakes live in the temple, a symbol made literal. Two wells, known as the Dragon Eye Well, Dragon Pure Water Wells, are located inside the temple, together with two giant brass bells. Both water wells and bells are symbolic. Driving out snakes. The methods used to obtain a Kundalini experience require the help of a very skilled snake charmer, man or woman. Without skilled help, things can go very, very wrong. We should know from myth how bad a failed Kundalini experience can become from the terrible fate of Medusa, who sprouted serpents, energy flows all over her head, and even became dangerous as a consequence. But whether from lack of snake charmers or simple ignorance, people tried these techniques without help, and they got bitten. And it is still happening. Because there are very few left to teach them. And the side effects being created by unskilled practitioners resulted in a crackdown, especially in all the main biblical religions. A number of the methods, the manipulation of the body using hands, acupressure, and the use of the heel in meditation to manipulate the perineum might be construed as sexual, and repression, especially repression of methods perceived to be sexual in nature, was decreed. Until eventually, even when genuine practitioners survived, their techniques were very quickly ostracized, and the adherents persecuted until few remained with the skills to help. Sufis, Knights Templar, Cathars, all brutally removed. St. Patrick was a 5th century Christian missionary in Ireland. Patrick was never formally canonised. Nevertheless, he is venerated as a saint in the Catholic and Eastern Orthodox Church. St. Patrick is supposed to have banished all snakes from Ireland, but this is not literal, as post-glacial Ireland never had snakes. So what Patrick actually did was ban the Kundalini experience. Snakes in the sky, the constellations Hydra and Serpents. Just as Virgo became a constellation in the sky, celebrating all the virgins or high priestesses who had shepherded their charges through this experience, a number of constellations were created to celebrate specific water snakes, spiritual energy flows. Hydrus is a small constellation in the deep southern sky. It was one of 12 constellations created by Petrus Palancius in the very late 1500s. The Chinese formed from the stars of Hydrus, with others surrounding it, 4 of their later asterisms: She Xiao, the serpent's head; She Fu, the serpent's belly; Chaifway, the serpent's tail, entirely within the boundaries of Hydrus, and Fufi, of unknown signification. Hydra is a much larger constellation. It was included among the 48 constellations listed by the 2nd century astronomer Ptolemy. Ophiuchus, or Serpentarius, is identified with Asclepius, already mentioned. He is depicted holding a snake, represented by the constellation Serpens, which is located around the celestial equator, with the 2 legs of Ophiuchus protruding right into the zodiac and south of the ecliptic. Finally, we have a video on snakes and ladders, and plan one just on the Garden of Eden. Our website, www.allaboutheaven.org, has sections on these methods.